All right, we're gonna try this. Try this again. Hopefully, we'll get it going. Get going. Technical difficulties. There, I sent. Now we should be good to go. Let's see how it works. Sent the invite. All right, welcome to Chalk Talk again, season 3, or excuse me, episode 1. I can't even talk. Forget it. Season 1, episode 3 of Chalk Talk with Eric and I. As soon as we get him on, we'll get going. We'll be talking about all your NFL needs. Week 5, or excuse me, yeah, we're going to be talking about week 5, roundup of week 4, some of the games that went on, so we'll get that going. And be making our picks, giving you our who we think our top 10 is this week. A lot of good games that went on, some surprising games as well. So we'll be working with that, and then talking a lot of defense tonight. And he's got a segment that he's going to be bringing up here, and I'll let him go over it as soon as he pops on. But having technical difficulties. Love it. All right, did you get the invite? If you're on, did you get the invite? Travis is watching. Hello, Travis. We're going to get this working here momentarily, hopefully. And I hope everybody's having a wonderful night. We're trying to get this up and running with the difficulties here. We'll figure it out. I do not know what's going on here. All right. Yeah, I've sent the Evite, but it's not working. You might have to switch to your phone, bud, because I do not know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there it is. Let's see if we can bring you on. We might get this working here. There we go.
Can you see me?
I can see you.
Sorry about that, man. I don't know what happened. I never got the invite on the big ones.
Yeah, I don't.
But the phone seems to work a lot better.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I've always had issues or whatever. When I'm using my phone, sometimes I have to use that because my computer doesn't get really great internet out here in the boondocks of Oklahoma. So sometimes I have to use it. Well, welcome. We got it going. It's all gravy. It's all good. What a week in football, man.
I'm telling you, things are just going sideways on us now, right? I thought the NFL would be a lot more predictable this year, but it's not working out the way we thought it would so far.
No, there were some games I was like, oh my goodness, this is a wrap. And then turn around and where did they come from? So yeah, I mean,
right.
Some of the games you and I picked, we were just like, woo. So some of the good
I had a
ones,
terrible week in my football picks.
Yeah, me too. which I normally do anyways, but I really had bad picks. But I know we got a new segment that we want to introduce tonight for you. But before we get to that, let's just wrap up some of the games that we saw over the weekend. One of the best ones, and it was Sunday night. I don't know what was going on in that game where Tom Brady had more rushing yards than the entire New England team, period. I think New England had -1 yard, if I'm not mistaken. But it was a good game for him to go back into, and
a closer game than I really thought it was going to be.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, everybody hyped this game up as Tom Brady versus Bill Belichick, but I just think both teams handled this game brilliantly. They're like, look, this is a team versus a team, and ultimately the best team won. Tampa Bay, obviously a lot better team than New England. But a couple things I did note from that game. So, I think everybody's seen it by now. Mac Jones actually outperformed Tom Brady.
Yeah.
You look at the stat sheet. Plus, I think he managed the game a little better. Now, on that note, to me, Tom Brady looked a little bit human. I think it was a little more emotional for him than maybe he made it out to be. The fans definitely played they played the best card, gave him a huge ovation, right before when he went out for warm-ups, and they were all excited. They're like, hey, Brady's my man. He's still the best ever. He's the GOAT. And then when he ran on the field for the first drive, when the Buccaneers had the ball, they went nuts, and they could have booed him out of the stadium. And that, we're all human. We all seek a little bit of acceptance, and I bet you that kind of surprised him a little. But he just looked emotionally drained all throughout that game, and his throws were, to me, this un-Brady-like, just completely overthrowing Anthony Brown, stretching out his players. Mike Evans got popped. I mean, that's Tom Brady does it. He prides himself on keeping his receivers from getting crunched, and Mike Evans took a good shot early in the game.
Oh yeah. Again, I think the highlight I took from it was the same Mac. Mac looked fantastic. He looked poised. He looked in control. You're right. The best team won. At the end of the game, the best team won. But I think in the duel of the quarterbacks, like you said, I think Mac Jones looked a lot better. Brady looked, I mean, other than trying to use the same word, he just looked uneasy, almost to the point where, like I was talking about Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger does not look comfortable behind his line anymore. And that's the way I felt about Brady that night.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I bet you Tom Brady would tell you the same thing, that he didn't play his best that night. But then there's some other aspect that, for whatever reason, Tom Brady brings. He's almost like a football god among men. If Adam Vinatieri was going to kick that game-winning field goal that Nick Foles was supposed to kick for the Patriots to win it this time, but if Adam Vinatieri was with the Patriots and Tom Brady was, that kick goes in the rainy, windy part of the field there in New England. This time, Patriots drive down, potential 52-yard game-winning field goal. Nick Foles, seasoned vet, very accurate, over 50 yards, and the loudest thud on a goalpost in modern history. Just letting everybody know this is still Tom Brady's house. Mac Jones will have plenty. He'll get to sprinkle, from the fairy dust later on down the road, but this is still Tom Brady's house. It was kind of magical for Tom, but I think the Patriots have a great future ahead of them. I really do. And Josh McDaniels, offensive genius at offensive coordinator, and of course, Bill Belichick brings in talent and doesn't bring in, needy players. He just brings in people that want to win.
Right.
And so I think the Patriots have a bright future with Mac Jones behind the helm.
I agree. Another good game, and surprising to me, I picked this team. The rest of you guys went against me. I picked this team. I went Arizona. You guys, the fans, everybody else that was in on it, took the Rams, and I listen. As long as Kyler Murray stays healthy, and this is indicative of his season. If he stays healthy, this team is going to be a force to be reckoned with. After watching this game, the man, he's and I'm not taking anything away from the defense, because Arizona went out and did a great job putting in the people they needed for that defense, and which we'll get to here in a minute. But as long as Kyler Murray, he was a really good field general during that game, a really good field general, and it shocked me because I went against, obviously I chose Arizona because he's an OU guy, because everything in my mind and my body said take the Rams, but it was a good game.
Yeah, I'm old enough to remember when, a long time ago when you and I were picking our picks for division winners. And I said, I really want to pick Arizona, but they have something about them that they can't, get across the goal line. And, and then so I picked the Rams. And, last week we talked about the Rams potentially being the best team in the NFC, maybe, definitely the best in the NFC, maybe even the best in the NFL. Arizona had a fantastic game plan, and not only did they have a good game plan, but it was an attacking one. It wasn't, let's run the ball a lot and then let's punt, let's do the field position game. No, they used their talent to the best of their ability. They were very well prepared, and I think they also caught the Rams on a little bit of an emotional high. This may have been a little bit of a letdown. I think with these two teams, we still need to see a little more throughout the season. But, yeah, you called it. And, Arizona deserves all the credit in the world for the way that they played. That's a tough environment to win in, as Tom Brady found out. And, that Arizona, just the whole game plan was really good. They seemed to keep Stafford off balance. He didn't look very comfortable a lot. So, they definitely deserve to be undefeated right now, because they're 400 yards a game, 30 points a game in all 4 games. Wow.
Yeah, it was just, like I said, great field general. But I don't want to get caught up. I don't want to get caught, because last year they were 5-1, went in to play the Niners, had a great game against the Niners, and then just lost it. I don't know what happened the rest of the season. I don't, and that's what I'm trying to tell my Arizona fans that are watching. They're good, and Kyler Murray's up there in the MVP talk right now. As long as he stays healthy and they don't have a breakdown like they did last year, they're definitely going to be in the talks of a good deep playoff run, and possibly a Super Bowl appearance. But yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, if they can carry this, this right now, they are being compared, and all the Arizona fans, they definitely will know this. They're being compared. This team is, I think, unfairly for them being compared to the 2012 Cardinals. It's the last time that team went 4-0, but that team had nowhere near the talent that this current Cardinals team has. And, Kyler Murray has grown exponentially from what we've seen. And, maybe we're coming in that moment of his young career where Coach Cliff Kingsbury, with his mindset, is just perfect. And, if they can build that relationship to go even further, yeah, I mean, you're looking at maybe a couple of MVPs for this kid and a couple of Super Bowl titles. And, oh, by the way, it helps that they're top 10 in defense right now, which you can't win a Super Bowl with.
Yeah.
You just can't win a Super Bowl with, a team that has a below 15 ranking in defense. You got to be top 15 and above to be serious. And they're doing it right now. And they're, they don't have the easiest schedule on the books, so far, but they just come prepared for every single game. They're doing very well.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree. Well, let's get into this new segment that you want to introduce. I'll let you call it as you will, and I will feed off you on this one.
Yeah, so starting here now after week 4, we're going to go into this new segment called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And maybe we'll have a little fun with it, as it goes on, because there are always some ugly moments in football. One of my favorite things growing up was the football follies, right? And, and Sanchez, Mark Sanchez with the old butt snap. Those are just funny moments, right? So, but I also like to start on a positive note. So first, the good. I got to tip my hat to the 2 New York teams that both won their first game of the season this year. And they did it while huge underdogs, and really both overtime wins, but really in, what you would think would be unwinnable fashions, but they brought the passion, they brought the fire, and they punched two pretty good teams in the mouth. So first, obviously, hats off to the Giants. My Who Dat Nation, I feel for you. We got popped in the mouth by the Giants, who they didn't ride Saquon Barkley. They rode Daniel Jones like Seabiscuit, and that kid had over 400 yards passing. So good on the Giants.
Yeah,
Also,
he definitely looked good.
That offense. That they had the game plan, because that offense game, they averaged over 8 yards a play against the 5th-ranked team in the NFL. So they did very good. And the Saints were playing in the Dome for the very first time, and they were favored by 7 points. And Giants obviously beat them in overtime, 27-21. And then the other team, the New York Jets, who I think really they just had no business winning this game. On paper, I think Titans beat them, but Titans had a rash of injuries. So I think I'm going to give them the slip on this. However, this is the good part of the segment. And despite giving up 30 first downs and letting Derrick Henry rush for 150 some yards, I mean, that kid, that dude is just crazy. They lost the turnover battle, the Jets did, but they pulled it out, and they gave Coach Robert Saleh his first coaching victory there in New York. So that's always a good thing to celebrate when a coach gets his first victory. So that's definitely the good. Now for the bad. Also good. It was a historic weekend. We definitely have to tip our hat to Tom Brady. Again, Who Dat Nation, it crushes me, but we in our inner mind think that Drew Brees is the GOAT, but we'll save that argument for a different time. Tom Brady passed Drew Brees passing. Aaron Rodgers tied Dan Marino for 6th on the all-time touchdown list. And then the Ravens, they tied the 74-77 Steelers for most consecutive rushing games with 100 yards. They're 43rd straight. So, hat tip to those teams. Anyway, now the bad.
Oh, yeah, it's great.
Probably none of us. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't want to cut you off.
No, the only good I want to say, and I want to give my hat, or like you said, to the Chargers and Herbert last night for what felt like, even though it was a home game, felt like it was hostile territory.
Right.
And I say this with
I'm a Raider fan.
I say this because I felt like there was more Raiders fans there, and this kid took every bit of it and still played a heck of a game and won that game. So that's my good for this week, man. I just hats off to Herbert.
Yeah.
This kid is going to be talked about for years and years and years to come as
yep.
He may be in talks with the same names as Elway and Manning and Brady and things of that. That is how high I am on this kid. I really think he's got that far to go. But yeah, and so yeah, go ahead, go with the ugly, because there's some ugly.
Yeah, so first the bad. So this is very bad.
Oh yeah, bad.
Probably none of us know a punter in the NFL by the name of Aaron Supos. I'm sure none of us heard his name called this weekend. And the reason why is because he wore his flip-flops to the Philadelphia Eagles Kansas City Chiefs game. And the Chiefs did not force one single punt on the Philadelphia Eagles. And I'm sorry, that's just bad. The Eagles ranked number 17 in offense, and they didn't punt one single time and hung 30 on the Kansas City Chiefs. That's very bad. Just terrible.
Yeah.
Okay.
Agreed. I mean,
the ugly.
Here we are trying to talk about this team. Here we are trying to talk about this team being, you want to put Mahomes in the MVP talk, and you want to talk about that. They do, and we talked about this a while back about them being mediocre. They have a great offense, but they're mediocre defense. And I think they're going from mediocre defense to, man. You're right.
Yeah. Okay, the ugly. My boy Will, I love you, man, but Jared Goff and the center for the Detroit Lions just had one of the terriblest moments in the history of the NFL. It's late in the first quarter. The Lions are driving down for that equalizing touchdown, building some momentum. They're inside the red zone. Jared Goff, he's a game manager, not the best, but he's a manager. He sees a defense he doesn't like, steps up 1.5 yards to call an audible, and the center snaps it with the velocity that he would if Goff was way back in his regular shotgun motion. Hits Jared Goff so hard off of his left shoulder that the ball goes over the offensive line and into the defender for a catch. The ball never touches the ground. Now, that's just ugly. And I don't know. Could we have a new stat sheet for the center where he's 0 for 1 with an interception? Could we call it an interception on Goff because it went off of his arm? I don't know. I mean, they called it a fumble, but it was just an ugly play. And the very bad thing is, when you have those ugly plays, that doesn't bode well for the rest of the season, because that ends up being a stigma, and it killed their momentum, and they just went off and ended up getting creamed. That's the ugly.
I have one ugly, and it's going to lead us into our defensive talk here in just a second. But my goodness, my gracious, Atlanta Falcons, you have this game won. Atlanta, you have your game won. And I don't know what happened on that last touchdown. That was my ugly. Here you have the game in hand. You let Heineke, again, kind of like a punter that we've never even heard of. Heineke, I still don't, or Meineke, or whatever his name is, because that's how much I know about this kid. You let him roll back around and throw a pass to a running back in the flat, and not even in the far flat, in the short flat, and get a 34 or almost a 40-yard touchdown. And then that's ugly. That is ugly. Your defense, Atlanta, I don't know what happened to you. And it can't be because your coach is now coaching defense at Dallas. It can't be because of that. So
no.
Let's but I have a question, and I know you watched that, or you probably saw the replay of that touchdown over and over and over again. I still think he was out at the 1 yard line where he first initially I saw it. Did you see anything different that would give them that touchdown, or did they just not have enough to overturn it?
Yeah, I just think they didn't have enough to overturn it. I mean, he flew from the 4? That was a Superman launch. And that's one of those things where I've always wondered, because they say the goal line, it always extends out to infinity, but it also depends on the ball has to cross over the marker. So, you just can't leap from the 5 sideways into the sideline and then cross the goal line there. No, you got to leap forward.
Yeah.
And so I just think the angles that they have, even with the improvements of putting the little cameras on the markers, I just don't think they had enough to overturn it. And I think that's probably why it went the way it did.
Yeah. It just looked to me just that there was that top angle, and maybe that's the worst angle to even look at, but the top angle looked like when he dove, the ball had he was on the outside of the pylon, not the inside of the pylon when he did it. That was my view. Again, like I said, I'm just a guy who sits in the air conditioning and watches TV from a chair, so I don't know. But let's talk about some defenses out there. I want to talk about, and I'm a homer, and I'm going to be a homer on this one, but Dallas's defense, 6 turnovers in 4 games. 4 interceptions for Diggs in the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Is this indicative of, I think we talked a little bit about it last week. Is this indicative of what we're going to see from them, or is this just a fluke? I mean, because we listen, being a Dallas fan, I know what I'm going to expect the rest of the season, and it's mediocre defense at times. But man, I just really think I really think they're stepping up their defense.
Yeah, I mean, they have more takeaways right now than than this franchise has ever had in the Super Bowl era. So, you get that way by pressure defense, by obviously intensity. And remember, we talked about this last week. That team had an intensity level about them last week that that was unheard of, and they carried it again this week too. I mean, they to me it seems like they've just ramped it up in the past couple of weeks, and I think it's going to take us a good 3 or 4 weeks to see just how real this defense is, because they didn't start out that way. But can you keep up the intensity? I don't know. That Trayvon Diggs definitely is a key player in that. He's already got 5 picks this year. That's
5 picks.
crazy. So yeah, time will tell. I think the defense is. I picked Washington to win this division, but obviously to me the defense is way better than I predicted them to be, and Dallas clearly is in the driver's seat in this division moving forward, I think, anyway. And that's because of the defense, because we always thought the offense.
And I'm not taking. Yeah, and I'm not taking anything. I'm just not seeing out of, like you talked about Washington. I'm just not seeing the same fire that I'm seeing in Dallas that I saw the last previous 3 or 4 years out of Washington. That was, we talked about it in the very first show that we did, that this was one of the top premier defenses. What is happening there? Is it the drama? Is it?
Yeah. As you know, two defenses are really letting me down right now. That's the Washington football team, and that's the Tennessee Titans. And right now the Washington football team, they're 30th overall, just terrible. They're 29th against the pass. They're in the bottom 25th in at least 11 different defensive categories, and they're not creating opportunities by getting any turnovers. I think the team is -3 in turnover margin, So the thing about this team is they have the talent. It's essentially the same. It's actually better talent on paper than they had last year. I think the difference is they're 29th in against the pass, and it's a young cornerback. So that secondary is really young, haven't had much time to gel. They returned only, I think it's 3 starters from that whole secondary. So through draft and free agency, they picked up some guys. So I think they just have to get used to a Ron Rivera style defense, and they just have to figure it out. They will probably get better as the season goes on, because it's not like the problems with the Chiefs. That the Chiefs just don't have enough talent on the defensive side of the ball, but Washington does, and that front four is very fast and strong. So I think Washington can figure it out, although they are disappointing right now.
Yeah, and just like we were talking about earlier, I don't know if Kansas City can figure out. I don't. They're trying to. I think they're trying to, and they're trying to rely on an offense to score more points, so they don't have to do anything. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what they've been doing the last couple of years. And I get it. But at some point, this isn't college. You can't do it like OU and Texas Tech did it. This is the pro. At some point, that's going to catch up to you, and now we're seeing it. It's caught up to them.
Yep.
They're giving away more on offense in turnovers, and their defense can't keep up with it, and that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, you talked about Atlanta. Kansas City Chiefs are the next to the worst team defense in the league. I mean, 80% of opponents going into their red zone are getting touchdowns, not just scores, but touchdowns, 80%. So, if you, me, and 9 other guys get into the red zone on the Kansas City Chiefs, we're probably going to score a touchdown. And that's just pathetic. But it's the Chiefs' own fault, because they invested everything on the offensive side of the ball. They only have 2 former first-round picks on the defensive side, and Steve Spagnuolo is their defensive coordinator. So there's a brilliant mind, and there's not a whole lot lot of talent. You know, the Chiefs are a very, very powerful football team, but I think you know they're going to have to address the defense right now. And then they went and they picked up Josh Gordon instead of, you know, like I said last week, they should have went after Sherman earlier and got, you know, at least a little more.
Yeah, they should have went after Sherman.
Talent on the defense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they should have went after Sherman as well. Josh, you got all the receivers that you need, Kansas City. You don't need another one, and we don't even know if he's gonna. I don't even know what the over under on is Gordon staying in the season for the whole year. So, yeah, you need to focus on. They need to focus on defense, because if they do, I mean, even if they get back to that mediocre to even just average, they're going to go back to the Super Bowl and they might win it. But you can't win it playing the defense. Yeah. Mahomes is great. I will praise Mahomes all day long, but you cannot just do it on quarterback alone. You've got to have a defense, because that's what wins championships.
Yeah. Yeah, hands down. And you know, and listen, they're fixing to find out how powerful they are because the Bills come to town next week, who, oh, by the way, have the best defense in the NFL. And that defense, that Buffalo Bills team is outscoring opponents 118-21 since that first week snoozer that they had against the Steelers. So, you know, that defense is already being compared to the Ravens of 2000, you know, led by Ray Lewis. That defense is nasty. I will say they've only faced, you know, they faced 3 backup quarterbacks. 2 of them were rookies, but they pitched shutouts, a 40-0 whooping and a 35-0 whooping. And so it's not like it was close. So, you know, Chiefs last in the league. The Bills are coming to town. They haven't been able to beat the Chiefs for the last couple of years. And Buffalo would win an AFC championship game in Buffalo if Kansas City had to go there with the way these two teams are right now.
Yeah, I agree. No, hands down, no doubt. I mean, and we'll get into that here, because we're going to go into our power picks, or our top 10, if you will, whatever you want to call it. But I got a couple of questions for you before we hit our power picks here. One, cool. And I brought this up on Facebook the other night. Is it time for Roethlisberger to retire?
Yeah, you know, I've been hearing about that. A lot of, you know, Steelers fans, they're the most well-traveled in the country probably. And there's a lot of chatter about him being benched right now. He's got the 5th worst quarterback rating in the league. The only 4 who are worse are all rookie quarterbacks. And we've talked extensively about, you know, how they're struggling this year. And he doesn't look comfortable. I just wonder if that elbow injury that he sustained, that was kind of a freak thing, he was like, whoa, you know, mentally. So it probably is time. He's 39 years old now. It probably is time for him to go. He's had a hell of a career. Probably, I mean, Hall of Fame quarterback, if you ask me. I just think it probably is time. The problem for him is, and for the Steelers, Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins are absolutely not the answer right now. So he's probably going to have to finish this season. And
yeah, I definitely don't. Mason Rudolph was never going to be the answer, because he sure as heck wasn't the answer at Oklahoma State, as much as people want to say he was. He wasn't the answer at Oklahoma State, and he's not going to be the. I didn't even know Dwayne Haskins went there. For some weird reason, I thought he was like with the Giants still, or with somewhere else. I couldn't even remember him going. I'm not sure he's quite ready to step up. He's not quite ready to step up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think.
No, definitely.
And I like Ben Roth. Don't get me wrong, folks. Pittsburgh Steelers fans, don't get me wrong. I think Ben is a great guy, and he's going to be a Hall of Fame quarterback, like they said. But at some point, you've got to say, "I'm done," because you're throwing more picks than you are anything else, and he doesn't look happy behind the line. He doesn't look comfortable doing anything with that team. To me. All right, my second question is:
I agree.
Is my prediction of one and done for Urban Meyer going to come true?
Yeah. You talk about like this season, right? Being gone after this season.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't think so right now. I mean,
Well, he's not contributing. He's not doing the right thing by contributing to it.
No, he's not. Right. He's definitely not helping his cause. Right. And I don't condone what we're seeing online right now at all. I just, some of those young fellas might be, I'm sure they're probably thinking, hey, he's just out having a good time, right? So I think inside the locker room, that situation is probably going to be it's going to be a little overblown outside the locker room. I think inside the locker room, he'll handle it well, and the team will rally around him.
Yeah.
But the problem is there just isn't a lot of talent on that team. So, they had the early setback in losing or Etienne. And so I think when he comes back next year, I think we'll probably have to wait. I think we'll probably have to wait a couple of years to see if Urban Meyer and this Jags team improves. That's just my thought initially.
I'm just, like it's not just that. I mean, I'm reading a lot of stuff today about locker room talk and no cohesion and maybe some people not wanting to play for him now, which I get. I mean, but he's had a worse time as a first-year coach than Cliff down in Arizona, which I thought he would have a hard time. So
he seems to be having a rougher go at it than Josh McDaniels in Denver and Chip Kelly with the Eagles. Those two coaches, when they jumped to the NFL, I mean, they just destroyed those teams in the Broncos and the Eagles.
Yeah.
And, but we didn't really know. Josh McDaniels took a couple years because Tim Tebow took him to the playoffs, but I think the Eagles pretty much went downhill right away. And you're right. We're seeing all the signs right now that could happen.
All right, well, let's get into our top 10. We'll just start with your top 10 first, and I'll give you mine.
I'm going all the way down the line, right?
All the way down the line.
Okay, so number 10, I'm going with the Las Vegas Raiders. I think they're the best 3-1 team of the remaining teams that I'm not going to talk about. And Derek Carr leads the league in passing. So number 9, Baltimore Ravens. They're kind of off to a slow start, but they're top 11 in both offense and defense. So they're definitely doing some things right. They're playing good situational football. So I'm definitely going with them in number 9. Number 8, the Cleveland Browns. We've talked about these guys extensively. Solid run game, excellent defense. The passing game hasn't quite caught up yet. And, Baker Mayfield had another kind of subpar game.
Subpar day, yep.
Number 7, the LA Chargers. This team has it all right now. They're smart situational football. They're executing, their fourth down conversions at the right times. They're just packaging all this positive energy, and they're really making it work right now. So I think I got them at 7. They definitely have room to go up. Number 6, I'm going with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously elite talent. Obviously, Bruce Arians is a good coach. And they're putting up a ton of points, number 1 passing offense in the NFL right now. But they're getting everybody's best. They're the champions, and everybody's targeting the Bucs right now. And their defense is just not good. The secondary is just struggling right now. So I'm going with the Bucs. Also, one note on them, number 1 pass offense, but dang, they're number 30 in the rushing game. So they're completely off balance right now, and that has to change moving forward. Yep. Number 5 is the Dallas Cowboys, and they have, in my research up to date, I think they've had the toughest schedule through the first 4 weeks. And, they're playing.
Yep.
They're just playing fun football right now. Everybody, they're not getting blown away, but they're really taking it to teams. So they're number 5, and I see them moving up. 3 of the 4 teams that they faced are all at least tied for first place in their division. So they're definitely doing things
Absolutely.
well. Green Bay's number 4. After that game against the Saints, I just think that was their 4th preseason game, really, and they're kind of turning it around. So they're getting balanced play from their superstars. I think that's pretty good. Number 3, the LA Rams. Like I said earlier, this game was probably a letdown game for them. They still have, still have that emotion there, or they still have high talent on both sides of the ball, and just a very well coached football team. So number 3. Number 2, I went with the Arizona Cardinals. They definitely, there's definitely a case for them to be number 1. Absolutely. 4-0. We can say that completely. I don't disagree if anybody gives them the number 1 ranking. I think their defense is going to get better, but when I look at the difference between the number 1 and the number 2 team in the league, when I give them that top ranking, I look at can the number 1 team beat the number 2 team on the road, or can the number 2 team beat the number 1 team on the road, in the toughest environment? Which team would win those games? And I think if the Bills went to Arizona, they would have a better shot of beating the Cardinals than if the Cardinals went to Buffalo and played them. So I went with Arizona, which of course, I went with Arizona number 2, which of course leads me to my number 1, and that's the Buffalo Bills. And they're number 1 in total defense and number 2 in total offense. So to me right now, they just have the complete package, and they're the one team so far right now that's keeping my predictions alive and making me look somewhat knowledgeable.
Yeah, no, you're man, you're spot on. And this, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to know something here before I read off my top 10. At no time during this week, other than me talking to him to say, hey, I want to know what your top 10 is, did we ever talk about who our teams were. I want you to know how spooky and eerily close that we were.
No way.
All right, my number 10, Las Vegas Raiders. Again, it was almost the same reasons that you brought up. They are one of the best 3-1 teams out there, and I do think they're for real. They're finding ways to win. They were trying to find a way to win last night, and they very well could have done it. Very well could have done it. So I like this team. I think they're doing great strides, and I take back for anything negative I said about them at the beginning of the year. I really like this team, and I think they're making great strides. Number 9, the Baltimore Ravens. Again, they're finding ways to win. They had a little hiccup there at the beginning, but overall, they look good on offense. To me, I think they're very balanced, or getting to that point where they're very balanced. So I like the Ravens at number 9. At number 8, the Cleveland Browns. I think they have one of the best rushing games in the NFL. And you're right, passing game is if they can get that passing game and Baker can get his head into the game, I think they move up the ladder, and he will be in the talks of that MVP sooner rather than later. At number 7, I have the Bucks, and it's really been because of that, what you just talked about. It's the defense where they're giving up a lot more rushing yards, and that's kind of dropped them and then just again lackluster play in the last couple of games, and just feels like he got his first win of the season, and then he's just kind of just declined. And I don't know, maybe that's just me, but that's what has Tampa Bay at number 7. And for me, really, 4 through 7 they're all just kind of, they're one little play or one little defensive stop here from being ranked a little bit different. At number 7, I've got the Chargers. Again, number 6, I got the Chargers. I'm so high on the Chargers. I just think, man, they're really, really good. Herbert is an excellent quarterback. And they're just one game they're just one game and one, whether a field goal or a touchdown away from being undefeated as well against Dallas. I think they just made Dallas on an uptick for Dallas. So they're and like I said, Herbert's going to be talked about for years and years and years to come, ladies and gentlemen. At number 5, I'm with you, the Dallas Cowboys, 100%. I think that defense is making strides. I'm still not sold on them 100%, but the offense, they've got a high-powered offense. I think they can continue to hit that 30 to 40 point per game. I mean, let's think about it. They scored that much against Green Bay. The only game that they have scored less was against the Chargers. So that's indicative of what that Chargers defense is really like, I think, in my opinion. And number 4, I'm right there with you, Green Bay. Green Bay is just and I, without lack of anything else to say, I think that first game was really just a warm up of or preseason or whatever you want to call it, just trying to get everything in tune. So, but yeah, he's in MVP form again. So I'm just waiting to see some good things come out of Green Bay. So I like them. And then our top 3, there's nothing I need else to say because you said it all. Rams 3, Cards 2, and the Bills number 1. The Bills just, man, if I wasn't a Dallas Cowboy fan, I'd probably be a Bills fan because that team is just phenomenal. They're fantastic on both sides of the ball. They're smart.
Yeah.
So I foresee them. I'm almost to the point where I'm getting ready to say they might be one of the best Bills teams I've ever seen, even with Jim Kelly in them. I'm that close, man. They're really.
I agree with you. So we only differed on switching the Buccaneers and the Chargers around, huh?
Yeah,
that's awesome.
And I'm telling you guys, we did not even talk about this. This was just we came up with it. Like I think we just talked about it yesterday or the day before, and we just came up with it. So I think that's really spooky and eerie, but it's very good stuff. All right, well we have a lag. So we had a lag there. So if I stepped on you, I'm sorry. All right. So we're getting ready to do our picks. You had a really, really rough pick. Rough weekend. You went 4-6, and the fans went 6-4. So the fans won this week. However, you are still in the lead. You are still in the lead at 12-8, and the fans are at 9-11. So you're still in the lead. So are you ready for this week's picks?
Let's do it, man.
All right. First game up is Thursday night, Rams and Seahawks. Again, I picked this one because this is the division that we just got done talking about. Any one of these teams can still win it. It's a tough division. I don't care how bad Seattle's doing. I don't care how bad San Francisco's doing. This is a tough division. So I got Rams at Seahawks.
Yeah, it really is. And I'm going to have to go with the Rams on this one. I think they'll prepare fast.
Mm-hmm. Agreed, and I am going with the Rams as well. The fans went with the Seahawks. All right. Next game up is Jets Falcons. We gotta have a bottom of the barrel game. We gotta have a bottom of the barrel game.
Falcons, they're home, so let's go with the Falcons. Although I am rooting for the Jets. I want the Who Dat Nation.
I too am going for the Falcons. The fans took the Jets. I think this is a decent matchup. I think this decent matchup coming up. Patriots versus the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots are going to win this. The question is how much better are they going to, improve? I definitely think the Patriots win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, agreed. Fans took the Patriots as well. I'm with you, man. I think that was a stepping stone game for them. They looked really, really good. And if Mac Jones, like we talked about, if Mac Jones can continue to keep that poise, I see lots of good things out of this Patriots team in the future again. So keep your eye on Mac Jones, y'all. There was a reason he became the starter. I don't know. All right. Eagles versus the Panthers.
Yeah, this is a good game. I want the Eagles to win. I know Cowboy fans don't like that, but I think the Panthers are going to win this because they showed a lot of heart against the Cowboys, even though they were getting beat pretty good, but they still showed some heart. And you know what Coach Matt Rule is doing, one of the few college coaches who are starting to show some success in the NFL. I think he's got that team going in the right direction. So I'm taking the Panthers.
Yep. Agreed. We both are taking the Panthers. The fans took the Eagles because I think one of the fans might be from Philly area.
Well, I'm going for your Eagles.
I can't confirm or deny it. All right. Who Dat Nation versus the Washington Football Club.
You know, if you follow the cycle that my beloved Saints are on, they'll win this, and I do think they'll win it. I think I'm taking the Saints over the Washington team.
I agree with you 100%. I just think they're a better overall team, and I think they were the better. I really think they were the better team this past Sunday. I don't know. All right. Interesting matchup because we got a Broncos team that hasn't really played anybody, and when they finally did, they kind of got taken to the woodshed against the Steelers, and the Steelers are not playing good ball.
Yeah, I like this Broncos team. I really do. I think it's a shame what happened to Teddy Bridgewater. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league, and he's a stand-up guy. And I think he's very, very underrated. And I say that because I was one of the ones that held him as underrated before he came to the Saints. But he's also, he knows how to win, and if he's able to go in this game, the Broncos, I think, will win it. Plus, the Steelers are just struggling. And I think Denver's defense is good enough to make Roethlisberger struggle. So I'm going with Denver on the road.
I agree as well. I am taking the Broncos. The fans took the Steelers. And the fans took Washington in the other one as well. I forgot to tell you that. All right, so. Oh, man. I brought up this game for one reason, because I might have to pick against my boy. Browns versus the Chargers.
Yeah, this one's in LA too. Yeah, this is going to come down to we've talked about their weakness, but this is going to come down to how well the Browns can keep Baker Mayfield off his back. And I think the Chargers are going to pull this one out. They're just in the right mindset. They're just doing things right.
Yeah, I'm picking against Baker. I love you. If you're listening, if you're watching the show, which I know you are, Baker. I know you are, because you love me just as much. I got to pick against you. But yeah, we all took the Chargers. I'm just high on this Charger team, really high.
Yeah.
So that's and I not that it's a safe pick. I just think the Chargers are just a little bit better defense, and I think they're going to be in Baker's face all day long. I really do.
Yeah.
Giants at the boys.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
Cowboys are just on. I think they're on another level right now than anybody else in the NFC East. So
they are in the driver's seat at 100%. This division is theirs to lose. If they start playing bad,
that's right.
If they lose this division, it's because it's their fault. plain and simple. One of the best
Yep.
matchups that we just talked about, if this team traveled or if this team traveled, well, the Bills are going into Arrowhead Stadium. What do you think?
To me, the Bills are going to win this game.
Yep. Yes, we are both taking, we're both taking the Bills. I think we had a lag there. We're both taking the Bills.
And I actually think the Bills are going to beat the brakes off.
I don't think Kansas City can get over their I guess you want to call it the yips, the turnover yips. I just don't think they can get over it.
No. Yeah.
So yeah, we're in agreement on the Bills. I think they go in and they drub them. I think they embarrass them in Arrowhead Stadium. But
Me too.
the fans took the Chiefs 100%. All right, in our last game of this week's picks, Colts Ravens. We always got to do Monday night. Can't leave Monday night out because it's greatest. Yeah. It's one of the greatest nights of football.
Yeah.
So Colts Ravens.
I'm going with the Ravens. Colts have too many issues right now.
Oh yeah, no doubt. You and I are on par with the Ravens. I think they're making their way back up, and I think it's going to be a tight race between the Bengals, because like we talked about, the Bengals are a quiet 3-1 right now. A quiet 3-1.
Yeah.
And if they get loud, that division between the Browns, the Ravens, and the Bengals could be a slobber knocker, just like out west in the NFC.
I like that word.
Yeah, but man, that's a great division to watch right now. And like I said, they're a quiet 3-1. They're finding ways to win. They're doing what they need to do. Yeah. Joe Burrow looks really good. He's got to be looking a little bit better to get into that elite talk right away, but he's looking good. So, well, that's our picks. What's your final words for tonight, my friend?
Yeah, so there's just real quick. There's three things that I'm looking forward to when we watch these games next weekend. Number one, are the Bills going to be able to get over that proverbial, get the proverbial chief off their back and win? We kind of already talked about that. We both think they'll not only will, but in good fashion. But I just want to make sure. So I'll be definitely excited about that game. What the next thing you talked about it, the Bengals. I want to know, if this team is going to be. This is the week where they can be loud. They play Green Bay, and Aaron Rodgers coming to town. So this is their opportunity to be loud. Green Bay's favored in this game, so Cincinnati's a home underdog. I like Joe Burrow, and I like what they're building there, but we'll see. So I'm looking to see if they can do that, and then I want to know what kind of impact Josh Gordon is going to have on the Chiefs. And I'm actually looking at that down the line, because they're playing a Bills defense that's crazy good. So if Gordon does get on the field, they're going to put him on a pitch count, and maybe some slot action. So those are the three things that I'm looking for this weekend.
All right, that's good. Now I'm right there. What I'm looking for sure is Cleveland. Keep Baker safe. Keep him on. Cleveland, if you keep Baker in the pocket, you're going to win almost every game that you play this year. You will 100% win every game that you play this year if you keep him safe and in the pocket. Another thing I'm looking for is again, are the Bills for real? I'm right there with you. Are they this team that we talked about at the beginning of the season that we think will be in the Super Bowl, and if they take it to the Chiefs like we think, then they're in the driver's seat the whole way through. And I'm really looking forward to this game. This was one. I'm glad I put this one on there, because just you talking about it while we were talking about defenses, and then it bringing up the game, it really fits. And the last thing is, are the Chargers for real? They're getting ready to play the Browns. Which they haven't faced. When they faced Dallas, I still don't think that Zeke was on his run. running ability, but Pollard was, and that was kind of what kept the Cowboys going on in that game. With Chubb and Hunt, does the Chargers have that defense to stop the run and keep the Browns out of the game? That's another thing that I'm looking forward to. If they can do that, again,
good point.
The AFC looks strong, way more than the NFC does. That's just my opinion.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. AFC is on. They are on it right now.
Well, that's all I got for tonight, guys. I'm glad you came out and watched us. We're trying to tweak this up to make it better, give you stuff that you like. But please leave us a message. Give us comments. Let us know if you have any questions about teams that you want us to talk about. We'll do it. We're trying to make this all about you guys. Any other words tonight, Eric?
Mm-hmm. No, that's it. God bless. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. Always good to see you, buddy. We'll get it all worked out next time.
You too, man.
Be tuned in next Tuesday for Chalk Talk, and we'll see you. Have a good night, guys.
Good night.
Bye.